or programming notes. I'll be off the desk tomorrow, so see if I can get somebody to handle the morning meeting. Also traveling early today, but I will leave my mic on with the news in the background. So we had a small pullback yesterday off of the threat of new tariffs against China by Mr. Trump. We held this 276.50. Actually touched it right at the end, towards the end of the day. Also touched our resistance area, so I was able to get the short off early in the morning at 278, and took this quick down move to close to 277. It looks like it was a one-day wonder. We're gapping back above yesterday's high. What we'll look for on the open is if there's some selling pressure, does this hold? Market catches a bid, gets back above 278.5. You might have some people start to chase and push it towards that 280 that everyone's been looking at now. That's not where we topped out last time. We topped out 279.40. So that's about a buck above where we are right now. So it's very possible we top out somewhere in this area right here below the prior high, and we continue to move sideways going into the weekend. Summer Fridays, though. Last Summer Friday was the jobs announcement, and we exploded and finally closed above that 274. So any type of close, I would say above 279 going into the weekend. They'd probably try to gap us above 280 on Monday.
Those people will want to just profits. Other people kind of look at this and say, "Oh, man, it's like 4 points, getting shorted." So there's a lot of like.
All right, so IWM, just looking at yesterday's markup, we spiked above this area right here. I guess on the open, failed. X did mark the spot there, and came down and held that 167. So zooming out. Continue to be very mindful of this above 168 here if it can't hold up in this area here and break to the upside. 167, 166.90. You can see just the beginning of it starting to form a little bit of a mini downtrend again. So it's outside of it right now. So at first, well, even if first move is down today, it doesn't come off that much. Then it goes like this. Pull that minor. Oh, just if you have questions about stocks I'm talking about, or you have a stock you want me to cover, and if I have extra time, put it into the chat. So there's a chat window for Zoom. Sometimes people put it into the Q&A, which I'm not looking at. So that's IWM. Avago, EVGO. So, that's really just getting killed. All right, so it's below the 215 support now. So EVGO, the U.S. government denied their ability to buy Qualcomm on national security interests, and they went out and bought Computer Associates, which I think is a U.S. company, so they'll have to get approval for that as well, I think. But it is in a separate sector, so I would assume it gets approved. So it's software versus hardware and chips. Now, the analysts don't seem to like this. They claim, EVGO claims that they will have these huge cost synergies of like $1.3 billion. The issue with that is when the analysts looked at those numbers, they'll basically have to cut CA's expenses in half, and I think they're people are real skeptical about that right now. It does seem like it's going to flush somewhere between, well, it's already below 215, but somewhere below 215 and 210. At that point, I think you're probably looking at it's bounce territory, maybe back up to 218, 220.
So yeah. So you guys basically get most of the stuff.
We got to go all the way back to this low was, it's only a little bit over a year ago. Right here. So it was in this big long-term uptrend. They're trying to like acquire people. I mean, this stock already was a merger between BRCM and AVGO. So they're getting bigger and bigger, and they're trying to gobble up everybody. Anyway, so that's what's going on there. The volume's really coming in here now. 500,000 shares. So if I wasn't talking to you, I'd be trading this right now.
To like the 20-day moving average, so take out 247, probably move to like 244, so maybe like.
So we'll watch. The big volume came in here. It's now we have a low in the pre-market. We know that's kind of halfway between the next support and 215. And what you'd watch for is to see, does it stabilize here? Does it do this? Does it come back down? Does it hold here or higher? Then you'd look for this, something like that. The other thing people will be looking at is if it does bounce up to this area here, like straight, people will probably start to short it. See if it breaks 215 again. So it's gonna be a tough stock, but it should easily do 10, 15 million shares today. It normally does about 3 million shares. But right now, sellers in control. And see if it can start to move sideways here against the pre-market low. Next one is GLMD. So the last time we talked about this, you can actually see the big gap day. You can go back to my notes from the calendar, which seemed like this drug was going to be a big deal. And it gapped above $20. And it actually went all the way up to 27 before they crushed it, and then it trended down for the next few weeks. It actually didn't quite fill the gap, it almost did. And someone came out with a $59 price target today. So, it's a strange thing. I mean, clearly the market thinks that this drug isn't a big deal, or else, it would have stopped somewhere like here, and we'd be back above these highs right now. So it's already come off like $1.50. It's already come off $2 from the pre-market high. I think people would be willing to short it into this. And look, after the open, if it's actually, say like it catches a bid, it comes up here, doesn't really pull back much, and it's consolidating like this, and breaks, you can go to $15, $16, I would think, just because it is so beaten down from the last gap up. And the float's pretty small. It's like around 10 million shares. So it definitely could be pushed by some big traders. But happy to play it in either direction. I think some people are probably already shorted from above 14. I give it a shot on the long side. I mean, they just crushed it coming into this announcement, down to 10.5. I'd give it a shot here to see if it holds. It catches a bid here at $12. Right, so these guys had the phase 3 trial. The drug works. Here's the daily on this one, ZGNX. So this is the last time they had the good drug news. This is an example of the market actually thinks the news is good on the drug. Gapped above 30. It's tried to roll over a few times, never came back down to $30. Was consolidating at the high here. Now the good news comes out. Now this is whenever, for those who are new to the biotech game, phase 3 results and drug approvals quite often are seldom used scenarios. And what a seldom news scenario means, good news is announced, but the stock trades down after an initial gap up. So in this case, we have 56 had been resistance in the pre-market when I put my notes in. It broke out from there, went up $4. So now we have probably a tradable high, $60. And you have a lot of volume here. So that might be it for the day in terms of the high. Yeah, don't trade CA. It's a cash takeover. Erase it from your mind. Okay, so this is, here's the high, here's the pullback, $3 pullback. So now we have, this is kind of how we're going to measure the stock now. It's going to put in a lower high. If this is the top, it's going to be right here around 59, a little bit above 59. And that'll be tradable. Maybe it'll come in here again. Maybe it'll make another lower high. It doesn't become a real hold as a short unless it takes out this area right here. And then you could see it go down to $50. If it holds this prior pre-market high, the 56 area, and stays above here and consolidates for a period of time and breaks to the upside, people will be looking to play it back up to 60. But this is a pretty good range to work with to start. It's a thinner stock normally, so it could be a little bit whippy. And so that's that. Fast. So fast was very good to some people yesterday. So kind of went down to our support on the open, kept on spiking below, eventually got the green bar right here. I think Bob or somebody put it in the chat that after this green bar that it was above VWAP. And went right up to 54, consolidated there, and then broke out, had a $2 move from there, which was crazy. And then came back and retested 54 a couple of times. So I think people made most of their money off this reversal off the low, and then kind of when it held 52 here. I'm sure some people bought into the 54 pullbacks in the afternoon as well. So we have some good levels to trade off of. First of all, if it fails, if this afternoon support doesn't hold, 53 is the next support, and 52. So what you really need to see it do is, if it holds here, you want to see it move back above here at the end of the day. And then you'll see what happens if it gets to this. But right on the open, if it fails to hold above here, and then you see it below 54, look for a move back down to this area here. I've seen this fast do this a lot, where it's really strong or really weak the day after earnings, and then you have a pretty good retracement in the other direction. Be aware of that. ABBV, this one was pretty good. So we had this area here for potential failure, 97. On the open, it spiked above, shorted it, got below it. The follow-through down move didn't happen until midday. People were watching it pretty closely, which was good. I thought people did a nice job in the chat of saying it's got to hold below 96.30 or something like that. It did like here finally, and it took out the morning low and was a clean short. So good job on that for the people who are watching that closely and kind of pressed into it here for this. I covered here, I think. This is where I put my bid when I shorted it up here on the open. That got hit there. So it did then just kind of move inside of this consolidation range or this potential support we highlighted in the morning meeting. So, but it closed at the low. Here's a 30-minute. So if it's holding below here, if it's holding below like 95 and a quarter, and you got these, all these people are still long, or a lot of these people are still long. And the downside is probably to here. Somewhere in this area here. So we'll look for the follow through there. That is that. AAL, wow. So AAL definitely lost a little bit too much in this one. It never held this support area here. I hit out of most when it got below this. And then it looked, it actually started to catch a bid here in the 3660s. So I had some here against 3650. I was off the desk when it spiked up here to 37, so I didn't see that failure. I would have used that to sell some, but got stopped out here. And then the end of the day went down to 3590. Delta reported this morning, I think, solid numbers. So the question for this one is really, it's 36 by 37 right now. If it moves outside of that range, look for some follow through. Comes here, fails, gets above. You can play it for move back into something like this. Comes down here, fails, 34.5, 35, something like that. My thoughts on CRM is it's a pretty good stock to trade. Certainly for momentum stock, it's more liquid than most of the other ones. I don't see any news on it. So it looks like is that the all-time high maybe? Yeah, it's at the all-time high, strong stock. IQ. So IQ didn't have the same type of break that HUIA had yesterday. Similar, came down similar, moving sideways similar. It did have a pop off 30 again, and I know at least a couple of people caught it from 30. And look, this is all you need sometimes. This stock is really, for the last couple of weeks, hasn't been doing anything. It's basically been forming a base. And there's just been a bunch of nice moves off of $30. 2 of the last 3 days, it went $2 off of $30. And you're talking about 20 cents of risk from this price, so at most 30 cents. So that's pretty good. In the meantime, if you're making money in that and you're kind of waiting for it to see if it can kind of break here and basically hold above 33.50. So you're looking for something like this. And once it does that, then you're like you're buying these pullbacks into the 33.5, 33 area, looking for the move to like this. And if actually we look at HUIA, so this 35 level in HUIA is probably the equivalent of the 3350 in IQ. And yesterday it pushed through it. It was in the afternoon. So I guess in the morning it got to it, consolidated, and it broke through at 12:30, middle of the day. So anybody who was watching it then, that should have caught your attention, which is basically what I was just describing in IQ above 3350, which is here's your resistance. See the spike up here to 36. What does it do on this pullback to here? Oh, look at that. It went a little bit through and got back above. That's bullish. Then it closes at the high. It gaps up today. So you're looking to see if IQ does the same thing today. In terms of upside for HUIA, I think people are probably looking at this 39 to 40 area where you would think it would fail. We got there. Also be mindful of around 38.60, about $1 above where it is right now in the pre-market. And question about NVIDIA. So NVIDIA is another market leader, momentum stock. We'll see if that's at the, so this one is not at the all-time high. Like many other stocks in the chip sector, it's come off from its high. And, you know, it's similar to MU from the other day, where MU kind of bottomed twice at the same price, then held higher. So like in MU, this was 52.5, 52.5, and 53 or something like that. Anyway, it already filled this gap. I guess actually didn't quite fill that gap, did it? Oh no, yeah, it did. So it's already filled this gap right here, and doesn't, you know, basically broke out from 244, and now it's just consolidating in the next area, looking to see whether it goes back to 260 or comes back and retests 244 and then 240, something like that.